Hi everyone, welcome in. My name is Hannah. This is Tarot with Hannah, and welcome back to another pick a card reading. Today we are going to be doing something kind of unique. So we're going to be doing an elemental reset. I got the kind of like general idea. Hold on. I got kind of the general idea from this book called Tarot Elements, 5 Readings to Reset Your Life by Melissa Sinova. But I did kind of create my own reading structure for it. So basically like the book breaks down like a bunch of like really in-depth readings for each element, and I kind of created one that encompasses all of the elements that we can do in a little bit of a quicker time frame. But essentially, this reading is kind of designed to find you at a time where maybe you're coming out of a transitional period, or you're feeling like you're in the middle of a transitional period, and feeling like, you know, whatever is coming next is maybe not like 100% clear, and you kind of want to like take stock of the different areas of your life that are covered by each of the elements, and see how we can kind of like reset and balance each of those in order to feel more grounded and ready for whatever the next chapter is. So at the time that I'm filming this, we are about to enter eclipse season, or we have just sort of entered eclipse season. We just had a Virgo new moon over the weekend, and that kind of opened the eclipse portal, and we're going to have another Virgo new moon in a month, and that is going to be a solar eclipse. So this is a really big period astrologically in the year. It's bringing in a lot of change. It's also kind of bringing in like endings of chapters and new beginnings and things like that. So, and also Virgo is an earth sign. It's all about routine and like kind of finding magic in the mundane. So I felt like this was just the perfect theme, and I just saw 222 on the clock, which can talk about balance and harmony and all that good stuff. So I just, felt like this was a good theme to look at today. So instead of picking different tarot decks, we're using kind of a lot of different tarot and oracle decks for each pile. So I pre-shuffled them, and what you're going to choose based on just the energy of the pile and the crystal that is on top. So without further ado, let's pick your piles. So pile 1 is going to be this raw rose quartz. There we go. She's a little cutie. Light pink. Okay. Pile 2 is this raw green stone. Matches my sweatshirt. I actually don't know what kind of crystal this is. Or I got it semi-recently, within the last year, but I don't remember what it is. So, but green can talk about like abundance and, you know, the earth element, material, well-being. It can also be like an energy purifier. So maybe those are themes of this stone. If you know what stone it is, please comment it below. I would love to know. Okay, and then pile 3, you have this clear quartz, raw clear quartz. Yeah, okay. All right, take as much time as you need to pick your pile. Pause the video if needed. There we go. If you feel drawn to more than one pile, that's totally okay. Also, sorry, the cicadas. I have all my windows open right now because it's an absolutely gorgeous fall day. The cicadas are like really going off right now. They're so loud. Hopefully you guys can't really hear them. I'm sure it's fine. But it's just adding to like the Earth Virgo element. So I'm keeping it in. I'm not closing the windows. Also because if I have the windows open, it keeps the cats from jumping up on the table and like messing up the reading. So okay, I will see you guys over in your piles. The timestamps are in the description below. Hi pile 1, welcome to your reading. If you chose the raw rose quartz, then this is your pile. let's get into it. So we are going to do a little energy check at the very beginning, just to make sure that this is your pile, because I don't want you to have to listen to like 30 to 40 minutes of me talking if it's not actually your pile. So if the energy check at the beginning here does not sound like your current or recent energy, then I would pick another pile, try something else, see if there is a different pile here for you. But if it does match what you are currently or recently feeling, then this is your pile, and let's get into it. So for your current energy, we have ideation and dependency. So, and actually before we get into this, I want to also explain a little bit about how the reading is going to work. So, as we get into the elements, basically if a card is coming out upright, that is like something that like area or that element is coming to you a little bit more naturally at this time, versus if it comes out in reverse, it's something that, you know, you have to put a little bit more like conscious effort to achieve balance in. And I have some like guiding questions for each of the elements, in terms of how the messages want to come out, but also we're just going to see how it goes, and I'm just going to pick up intuitively, you know, whatever's coming out for each one. So it'll make sense as we go through it. Okay, so for your current energy, ideation and dependency. Okay. So, initially what I'm getting is you might be kind of like emotionally, mentally kind of like wrapped up in like a connection or a like way of being, like a way of viewing yourself. And I feel like there's like, with the ideation here, there's like maybe a lot of time spent in your head kind of like daydreaming or like thinking about this person or this life that you want to create or whatever it is. Could be a job, could be anything. And with the dependency, it's like you're having trouble kind of like breaking free from something that feels restrictive. So let's look at the description for ideation in the Prism Oracle deck. So it says, this card is about the growth of ideas and new projects in your life. Now is the time to focus on creating a safe space for your creative endeavors. This moment is just for you and your project. Let your ideas grow while you nurture and care for them. Enjoy this special time. All right, and then the dependency card says, listen to this scenario. You are on a vacation with the one you love. You walk into a grocery store that neither of you have been in before. Your loved one asks you a question like, where is the wine? And although you both equally don't know where the wine is located in the store, they look to you to tell them. Although this card is dramatic in its appearance, it talks to the little ways we put our own responsibilities on others and enable others to expect us to take on their responsibilities. Codependency is common among the human connection because we are scared, and if we feel that someone is helping us along, it makes us feel safe and protected. What these patterns do, although seemingly harmless, is make both parties less powerful because they are dependent on each other, and it allows their fear to grow. When dependency grows strong, anything outside the partnership becomes increasingly scary. You can break these chains. Okay, so I don't know if you are like currently in this kind of like dependency situation, or if this is something that you recently left or are breaking out of, but it feels like I'm even seeing like the color connection between the apple and the ideation. There's so much happening here. Okay, so what I was first getting was that you are in a period of realizing that there's something in your life, again, whether that's a person, a job, a mindset, doesn't matter, that you have like an unhealthy relationship with. There's a dependency there that is keeping you from being able to fully grow and like self-actualize. And this ideation is coming through to really, it feels very encouraging to me. Like it feels like this feels like the stronger energy, and it came out first. Like it came out like on top. And so it feels like you are in the process of, or have recently broken away from this. Like you are moving away from that energy into this more kind of like growth, new beginnings energy, where you're really, there's a lot of creative energy here. Like you're birthing something new. You could be, you know, if this is, say this is a relationship, it's like maybe you walked away from a relationship that was feeling codependent, and now you're feeling like, oh, I have more time to explore my own interests and what I want for myself, you know. Or it doesn't have to be completely walking away from something. It could be changing your relationship with that thing. Whatever it is though, it's giving you more freedom, and it's really clearing up more space in like your heart and your mind to express yourself and go after your interests. Looking at this dependency card with all of the apples down here, there's like a bunch of apple cores at the bottom, and then this person is like being fed another apple through this like chain situation. It's like it can feel really, when we do get into these codependent habits, it can feel really, really uncomfortable and scary to break out of them, because in some ways you are getting needs met. Like you are getting fed these apples, or the person that you're with is getting fed these apples, you know. But it's like, look at all their tears. Like it's like, at what cost? At the cost of my personal freedom, at the cost of my happiness, at the cost of my fulfillment. So there's something that you are breaking away from, and I want to say that it hasn't been easy to do that. So I'm really like proud of you and like patting you on the back, pile one, because this is so hard to do. It's hard to even recognize sometimes that we're in these situations. But it feels like you are either on the other side of this, or you are very close to, or actively in the energy of moving into this new energy. So that feels really positive. Okay. If that sounds like your current energy, let's get into the rest of it. Okay. So I'm just going to lay all of these out. Oh my gosh. I forgot that you got two of this from this deck, from the Iris Oracle deck. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is part of your current energy too. We have your light. No way, this is actually crazy, because you can also see this color, this like peachy kind of color is in all three cards. Wow. Okay, so it's like literally on the other side of this dependency is getting your spark back, like having a flame relit within yourself, getting to actually show the world who you are, being more authentic, feeling passion again, feeling like curious and excited about life again. Like this is like, yeah, getting your like zest for life back. And it's also like the light is in this kind of like dark, you know, like it is just like a single candle flame. So it might feel like the path ahead is really unclear right now. Like you can't really see anything outside of just like this gut feeling that you have that this situation isn't right and that you need to move into something else. But you are on the right path. I really want to make that super clear to you. Like you are going in the right direction. This is what your soul wants right now. This is what you need right now. And there's a freedom here. You're entering a new era that is more free spirited, more playful, lighter, and people are gonna be seeing you in a different light too. I'm getting like people are gonna be seeing more of who you are. You're gonna be showing up differently, more confident, and this is a process, of course, but you know, this is having both of these come out over this one is like, these are really overpowering this dependency energy, which is beautiful. Okay, now let's get into the rest of it. So I'm just gonna lay these out again. We'll get into the like upright versus reversal as we go through it. So for the earth energy, we have the, how do you say that? Beef birch in reverse from the Celtic tree oracle. It's actually the first oracle deck I ever bought. I love that deck. For the water element, we have the Six of Thunder, or the Six of Swords, upright. For the air element, we have birth in reverse. For the fire element, we have the 10 of torches, or the 10 of wands, in reverse. And for spirit, because we're also looking at the spirit element, we have the King of Swords reverse. Okay. All right. So I don't want you to be freaked out by all the reversals. It's not a bad thing at all. It just means that there's a little bit more happening consciously for you right now. This is it kind of feels like you're in a period of like conscious growth. Like you have moved yourself out of this like dependency cycle, this cycle that was like depleting you and taking more from you than you were getting from it. And now you're kind of like actively, I'm getting like a gardener, like, but you are also like the seed and the flower, like you are both. So like you're really kind of pouring into yourself, and like that takes effort, but it doesn't feel like laborious necessarily. Okay, so let's talk about each of these. So the earth element, this is kind of the question I asked when I pulled the earth card, was like, how aligned are you to your material reality? How kind of is what's going on internally? Is that like kind of as above, so below? Like, how is that reflected in your outside world? Do things need to change in your outside world? Things like that. The earth element is like our home, our health, our like physical things, our job, you know, finances, things of that nature. So for the Beef Birch card, we are going to read from the little book here. So reverse, oh my gosh, this is wild. So the keywords are endings and new beginnings, cleansing and purification, releasing old patterns, overcoming difficulties, shedding the old, new growth and renewal, pliancy in the peaceful resolution of conflict, higher perspective, return to innocence. So again, we have these huge themes of like, you've got some kind of ending, new beginning happening here. Love to see that. And it's being reflected in your material world. So reverse, we have, perhaps you are reluctant to let go of that which is keeping you from moving forward, afraid to release old patterns and unhelpful influences. You may not be ready to forgive or deal with conflicts. Perhaps you are hanging on to the old and it is not serving you. Think about where you are not allowing your life to flow naturally. What are you holding on to so tightly that nothing can change? You are encouraged to let go so you can move forward. Set your house in order. This is probably not the best moment to begin something new, as you have work to do to prepare first. When your thoughts and feelings are aligned with your highest good, then you will be able to clear the way and begin. If you find that you are overly judgmental, now is the time to let such habits of thought go. Judgment only creates separation, and in truth there can be no separation. Make an effort to return to innocence and to your connection to all that is. Play a game, take a run, do something fun to remind you what it feels like to be a child again. From this place, you can let go of your resistance and move into your heart space. Oh, okay, I love this pile one. So something that might be helpful with kind of releasing this old cycle and really stepping into the new is like kind of making some little changes or big changes depending on what you've got going on. But I was thinking more kind of like, you know, making some little changes in your material world. So that can be like, you know, doing some decluttering, cleaning the house, you know, wiping down all the surfaces. Like Virgo season is literally the perfect time to do that if you happen to be watching this when I upload it. But like, I'm also hearing Scorpio in my head, which is also a sign I associate with like doing kind of like big releases and decluttering. So maybe you're watching this in Scorpio season, or that's coming up for you or something, or maybe you are a Scorpio, but it doesn't have to be. So yeah, I'm getting like, you could even be making some changes to like your health and routines, or like your appearance, like getting a haircut or whatever, you know. Do something with this being in reverse. Like I want to challenge you to like pick like at least one thing, maybe a couple things, like maybe like one like routine related thing and one thing related to like your home environment or something, and make a conscious change there. Like do a deep clean, you know, set up a good nighttime routine, like whatever it is, something that signals to your subconscious that you are making a change, that you're entering a new era, because that can have a profound effect on like the ability on us to like show up in a different way, in a different energy, is when we see like actual changes in our material reality. Yeah, and this is like a number one, which is connected to like the self and identity. So I am getting that this is more kind of like, this doesn't have to be like changes that really relate to other people necessarily. It's more kind of like a personal change for like, you know, my own well-being, my own health, or like my own home environment or whatever. I think that is going to be really helpful for you to kind of like really kind of like move into this new energy in like a practical sense. Okay, so next let's look at your water energy, which water is the element of our emotions, our subconscious, yeah, like our feelings, our connections, like with others on an emotional, like vulnerability, intimacy kind of level. This is so dead on. You have the Six of Thunder, which is the Six of Swords. This basically means that you are moving out of a time that was really challenging and could have been quite difficult for you emotionally. You're moving to calmer waters. I'm also seeing like the full moon here. So I know we talked earlier about how like the light over here is kind of surrounded by darkness. So it's kind of hard to see where you're going forward. I want to say that like by the end of eclipse season, which we have our first Pisces eclipse on September 7th, and then the Virgo eclipse is going to be on September 21st. So after that will be kind of like when eclipse season rounds out, it'll kind of fully close out at the Aries full moon on October 7th, I think. So by that time, like September might kind of be a period where if you're watching this when I'm uploading it, we're going through kind of a period of murkiness a little bit, like not totally, kind of just like feeling our way through things. But by the end of eclipse season, I want to say, like you're going to have a much clearer idea of kind of the path forward, and you're going to feel more clarity. And if you're not watching this at the time that I uploaded it, that is coming soon, in the near future. It's sooner than you think that you're going to feel more clarity. But yeah, I think in general too, how you can kind of emotionally support yourself at this time. really just being gentle with yourself. There's a rainbow up here too. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was saying how her mom was telling her to strengthen her hope muscle. And I never heard it put like that, and I love that. Because I was like, I kind of feel like I need that too. So I feel like, you know, basically the concept is like, it's like any other muscle, like you have to strengthen it regularly, like you have to like put in the conscious effort to be more hopeful, and like look for the silver lining, look for the things that you're grateful for and things like that. And this is upright, so I feel like this is coming pretty naturally to you at this time. This isn't something that like you necessarily are having to put in a lot of like conscious work in order to feel better. Like you just are feeling better because you're moving out of this other situation and you're making these other changes. So yeah. Okay, so next let's talk about the air element, which this covers like the mind, our relationship with our thoughts and our mind, and also communication with others. So we have birth in reverse here. This is what it looks like upright. This person is like birthing all of these like nature things. So, okay, so what I'm getting with this is, again, with it being reversed, this is something that's going to take a little bit more of like a conscious decision on your part. And I think this is around like your thought patterns and like self-talk. It feels like there is like a limiting belief that you have surrounding like your ability to like create or like manifest new things into your life, like bring new things into your reality that feel good and fulfilling. And it feels like there needs to be a little bit of like a conscious effort around rewriting that mental narrative into being more abundant. Like birth literally is like, I think of the Empress card, which is all about like abundance and self-worth and, you know, our beliefs around what we are worthy of and what we are worthy of receiving. And so it feels like there needs to be a little bit of like some inner reflection around that. Journaling might be helpful since we're talking about the air element. That can really kind of expose negative thoughts in a way that like when they're just in your head, you can't really see how distorted they are. So journaling might be helpful, or like talking to someone that you trust, or a therapist, or, you know, like affirmations, like listening to affirmations or doing like meditations that are like loving kindness meditations, things like that. It just feels like there's some like internal like self-talk and belief systems around your self-worth and worthiness that they're wanting you to kind of take a look at, because they're not true. Ultimately, that's why they're drawing that to your attention, is that those things are not true. And yeah, you might just be being a little too hard on yourself right now. And they want you to kind of like just be softer with yourself. Really kind of like envision, if you're familiar like with the Empress card at all. If not, maybe like do a quick little search into her vibe. But basically it's like she is all about, like, she doesn't chase things. She knows her worth. She sits on her throne, and what is for her comes to her. But she's also very discerning, and so like she doesn't just take in everything, you know. And she is really, she's very powerful, but she doesn't have to like convince people of that. Like, she doesn't really care what other people think. And I feel like whatever you can do to kind of like embody that, whether that's like, yeah, like I don't know if there's like Empress themed or like Venus. I'm getting like Venus and Taurus. Those are all kind of connected, similar energies. Like meditations or like journal prompts or things like that. Anything like that might be helpful. Yeah. Also, this is a side message, might not be for everyone, because this is also communication with others. If there is anyone in your life, and maybe that's this codependent energy from earlier, maybe not. If there's anyone in your life that like speaks to you in a way that is like makes you feel less than, like maybe they're like passive aggressive or in like kind of backhanded comments or like anything like that, like they like, you do not have to feel bad about cutting that out of your life. Or, you know, you can, you know, speak up to the person and say something about it if it's a relationship that you really value and want to continue. But, you know, a lot of times those people are just kind of, they're acting out of projection and jealousy because you trigger something in them that makes them feel insecure about themselves, which isn't anything that you're doing wrong. It's like literally just like your light makes them feel like they can't also shine, and that's just not true at all. That's their work that they need to that's their inner work that they need to do, that has literally nothing to do with you, and you can't do that work for them. So I don't think that message was for everyone, but if it was for someone. So yeah, we don't tolerate that kind of shit. That's not a friend. That's not a friend. Okay, moving on to the fire element. This is like what fuels you, what like creative outlets fuel you, and then also like I asked the question of like what action should they take on toward their dreams and goals with this. So we have the 10 of Wands reverse. So this is kind of an interesting energy. The 10 of Wands can be kind of a feeling of like overwhelm and burnout. Okay, I don't want to call you out, pile one, because I'm totally like this too, and it's hard not to be like this in like a capitalist society. Okay, I don't want to call you out, pile one, because I am totally like this too, and it can be hard not to be in like a capitalist society that wants us to be like hustle culturing all the time and stuff. But it feels like you might feel like it's almost like getting a sense of like pride from like overworking yourself. Because I asked like what fuels you, and it's like taking on all of these things. Like this person is carrying way too many wands and they're tired and they need to like put some of them down, but it's like almost like, oh, if I like am really helpful to everyone, then like that makes me feel good, that like, but it's like, and I just saw 111 on the timer, so like, but it's like it's not really fueling you. Like it's kind of like a false sense of fulfillment, a false sense of self-worth, because it's not really helping you achieve this. Like the ideation card and the 10 of Wands, like they can't really go together, because you can't really be in this like creative, receptive, abundant energy while you're in the 10 of Wands, like while you're like taking on responsibilities that aren't yours, things like that, which we've been kind of talking about. You know, like doing too much for other people to the point where, because obviously it's good to, you know, help people when we can, we should do that, but it's like this is to the point of exhaustion and burnout, where like you don't have anything left for yourself. And I feel like you've been doing that for a long time potentially, and you're kind of entering an era where you're like getting sick of doing that, and deciding that like you really want to put yourself first. And that is the action that your guides want you to take. So yes, so the action here that is prescribed in order to like go after your dreams and goals is to lessen your load a little bit. Not taking on what isn't yours to take on, essentially. And that can be like emotional labor too. Like that is like, of course there are, I just want to preface saying, you know, there are many genders, not just the gender binary, but if we're looking at like the way that, say, like girls versus boys traditionally are raised, at least in American culture and in many other cultures, it's like women are raised to take on this more emotional labor. Even like parents speak to girls, little like children, more than they speak to boys, and the activities they do. There's like studies on this. I took like a gender psychology class many years ago, but it's really interesting the way that we're just socialized from a very young age, depending on our like perceived gender. And anyway, that whole tangent is to say that this is not an uncommon experience, and obviously like all my pile ones here, you guys are all feeling this, like you're not alone in this. I just saw 555 on the clock. That might be significant for someone. That number also speaks of change, which you're obviously going through at this time. And it can also talk about a change that needs to take place. So that it just feels like you're doing a lot of kind of like releasing of like an old way of being. And I feel like you're stepping into more of this energy that's like putting yourself first. What are my needs? What do I want? And how can I get those needs met? You know, how can I meet my own needs rather than constantly worrying about what everyone else needs and like what they want from me emotionally and physically and all that stuff. It's like, it's not your responsibility. To some degree, like we are interconnected people and we're interdependent human beings and we need relationships, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. Like I'm talking about when we become too enmeshed and we do too much, and you can feel it, you know, that's how kind of resentment starts to build and things like that. So anyway, they're just really wanting you to, and this is right under the your light, which is literally fire. Like this is a single candle. It's just about you. Like this era is literally just about you and what sparks your joy, what you enjoy doing, what makes you feel lit up, and that's it. So I'm obsessed with that for you, pile one. Okay. Now let's get to the last card. So we have for the spirit section, which this is how you can better nourish your spirit and your soul. We have the King of Swords in reverse. So this says irrational, dictator, controlling, cold, ruthless, inhumane, dishonest, manipulation, controlling, abusive power. Up top, mental clarity, intellectual power, truth, authority, reason, discipline, high standards, head over heart, integrity, serious, strict. Okay, so what I'm initially getting is that this is about boundaries. And again, this is like, this came up in reverse, so this is like, I'm getting that boundaries might be particularly kind of challenging for this group, which that's so fair. Boundaries are so hard to set. They do get easier the more you set them. But when you're first, you know, getting used to trying to set boundaries, it can be like one of the hardest things ever. Especially when you have kind of like people-pleasing tendencies. So, but that coming out in a way that's like, how can you better nourish your soul and your spirit? This is going to be something that I actually think feels really good for you, feels really empowering. Even if it feels really, you know, scary to do the act of it, it's like once you've done it, it like feels like you've really, it builds further trust in yourself. And you feel like you can really rely on yourself to show up in the ways that you need. I'm actually getting that it might feel really healing for like your inner child, because it's like maybe when you were a kid, it felt like the adults in your life like didn't really understand your emotions, or didn't really like stick up for what you needed, or like listen to your boundaries even. And so it's like your inner child is like thanking you as this like adult version of you, for looking out for them, which is really sweet. Let's see if there's anything else. The head over heart part of the King of Swords is standing out to me too. It feels like, you know, there might still be kind of like an emotional pull to this old situation, and that's so understandable, pile one. That's so normal. But it feels like the more you kind of get into this kind of like logical head over heart kind of energy with like, you know, setting boundaries and being like, no, I'm really going to focus on myself. I know logically that like this situation wasn't good for me. And you know, that I'm feeling freer now, you know, that is going to be really nourishing for you and really make you feel just like very empowered, very, it's going to grow your confidence too. Okay. And I have to say this just because I am seeing it. It feels like it could be connected to that little side message I had from the birth card too, but maybe it's different. And it might not be for everyone, but there is kind of an energy with the King of Swords in reverse of like someone being kind of manipulative, manipulating your emotions, not telling the whole truth, being kind of deceitful, or being kind of controlling. And so there's just like a little warning there. This is only if you have an intuitive feeling that someone is like that, or you know them to be that way. Definitely setting boundaries with that person, with that energy is really important. And it might even mean like, you know, drawing a line with them being in your life or not being in your life altogether. You know, that's going to be different for everyone. But yeah, you don't deserve to be around energies like that. You are I'm getting like, I just feel like you're a very warm, genuine person, pile one, and you have given so much to other people for so long, and maybe sometimes people take advantage of that, or people are maybe not emotionally available enough to give that back to you, or like they lack the emotional intelligence that you have. And so they kind of just like siphon that from you. And you don't have to play into those dynamics. Like, you deserve to be in connections, romantic or otherwise, that are even familial, that are balanced, that meet your needs, and that are not taking more from you than you're able to give. So yeah. Okay, I think that's all the messages that I have for you, pile one. I hope that this was helpful. If it was and you enjoyed it, I would super appreciate if you could like the video, comment how it resonated for you, or just comment whatever. It helps the growth of the channel and the spread of the video, helps other people reach the video who need to hear the messages. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do that over on readingswithhannah.com. It's also linked in the description. I do astrology readings and tarot readings. And I also have some other ways to support me in the description below. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Right. Hi, pile 2. Welcome to your reading. If you chose this little green guy, whatever he's called, then this is your reading. We're going to start with a little bit of an energy check. So if what I'm describing in these first couple cards sounds like what the energy you've been experiencing lately or are in right now, then congratulations, you found your reading. If it doesn't sound like what you're currently or recently experiencing, then you might want to check another pile. See if there is see if there's a reading here for you today that is not this pile. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I pre-shuffled everything because we have kind of a lot of cards and a lot of different decks that we're using today. So for the energy check, we have Faith and Smother in reverse. So, all right. Okay. So I'm going to, okay, first of all, I'm being drawn to like this. They have kind of similar images on both of these cards. Like they both have kind of this like ring around here, which is making me think of like cycles, either repeating or completing. I guess we'll find out. I'm kind of getting like completing, like this is kind of reminding me of the World card. Maybe it feels like, like there's an energy here of like needing to have faith in something or renewing faith that something is going to happen. And the Smother in reverse is kind of like, okay, I see. It's giving like releasing the outcome, like surrendering the outcome and trusting in the universe that they have your back and are going to bring you what you need. Like this Smother in reverse is like giving me like releasing control. So maybe this is like something that you just, like an energy that you're in right now of like really releasing and surrendering to the universe and like allowing the universe to do its thing. Like you've kind of done your part already and now the universe is like co-creating with you and meeting you halfway on something that you're manifesting. Or this is an energy that like you're stepping into potentially. So I want to look at the guidebooks for each of these to see if they're going to give us any other kind of clues. Okay, so the Faith card says, this isn't really about belief in a higher power, although if that is part of your practice, you are welcome to infuse it here. It's more about trusting that no matter what, things will be okay. This is an idea that is much larger than yourself or anyone else. Things are moving and shifting all the time, so just keep working toward your goal, whatever it may be, and know that the outcome will lead you exactly where you need to be. Okay, period. Literally what I was just talking about. So whatever your belief system is, it doesn't really matter here. This can even be like faith in yourself, faith in humanity, you know, whatever your belief system is. But it is about kind of letting go of control, letting go of the things that really aren't within your control, like other people's actions or like other things going on in the world. Because really the only things that we can control are our own actions and our responses to what other people do and say, and like our emotional, like to some degree we can control our emotions. Not necessarily always what we feel, but how we respond to them. So it's kind of focusing more on like what is within your control and just kind of being like, fuck it with the rest. Like, I'm gonna throw that up to you guys up in the sky or whoever, you know, whatever you have faith in, and just kind of being like, you know what, everything is gonna work out for me. Like, I can't really see, I just saw 444 on the timer. I'm getting like you can't really see the, like, you can't really see right in front of you right now. It's like almost like the next, beyond just like this step right now is dark. Like you can't really see the full path ahead. But 444 for me is always a number that indicates that you are safe, you are protected, there is no reason to worry or fear. So I'm getting that really strongly right now. So, and then with the Smother in reverse here, this purple card is from the Prism Oracle deck. This other card is from the Iris Oracle deck, which is really cool. It's one of my favorite decks. I've been using it a lot lately. For Smother, we have, I think we all know what this feels like. Trapped, smothered, as if the pressure upon you got any heavier, you might just die from suffocation. This might be a good opportunity for you to be still within patience and temperance. If you struggle, the hold may just become even tighter. Breathe. Make yourself smaller to see the bigger picture, and you just might slip out of that grip. Yeah, okay, so pile 2, if this is not an energy that you are already feeling like you're in, this is an energy you're being called to step into. Just kind of releasing worries, like I'm hearing the sentence like worrying is like worshiping, what is the rest of it? It's like worshiping the worst outcome or something like that. And because you're just thinking about it, you know, all the time. And so it's like they're really wanting you to invest more energy and thought into potentially like best case scenarios, because ultimately, like, things that haven't happened yet, we really don't know which way it's going to go. And it's, you know, can be equally possible that like the best case scenario is going to happen. So why not put your mental energy toward thinking about that instead, or even a neutral outcome, you know, if you're afraid of like getting your hopes up about something or something like that. So, but yeah, it's really just, I think this is also kind of a call to like be present and kind of focus on like what, maybe like really just taking things day by day. I literally, right before this reading, I was like meticulously planning out, this is so Virgo season, I'm uploading this during Virgo season, but I was like meticulously planning out what I want my like morning routines to look like in the month of September, because I'm going through kind of like a transition in terms of like my schedule right now. And it's always been kind of hard for me to have like a solid morning routine. And so I was like trying to figure out what I could make that look like that is sustainable for me, that also really supports me and like makes me feel ready to start the day in like a positive way. And so it's maybe something like that would be helpful for you, or maybe that's something that you already do. But I'm really getting this Virgo energy, which is very much like focused on like finding magic in the mundane and like really kind of bolstering up like your daily routine or like your daily habits so that they support you in the here and now, instead of kind of like putting too much energy in the future and what that's going to look like really figuring out how can I make the best of my day today. You know, it doesn't even have to be like, how can I make the best of my overall situation right now? It's like literally what is on the agenda for today and how can I make today the best day that I can, and literally just focusing on that I feel like could be really helpful. So okay, pile 2, if this is your energy, let's dive into the rest of it. Okay, so we're gonna go through each element. We're gonna do earth, water, air, fire, and then we're gonna do spirit as well. And how this is gonna work is if a card comes up in the upright, that is gonna be something that is coming to you more naturally at this time. Like that element is already pretty balanced, or it's going to kind of balance out on its own. And if it comes out in the reverse, it's going to be something that takes a little bit more conscious effort on your part to kind of balance out that energy. So what we have first here, from the Celtic Tree Oracle deck, the earth element, we have Call Hazel in reverse. And every pile got the earth element in reverse, which I think is interesting because we're all kind of collectively going through this like transformative experience right now where we're entering eclipse season. And so like there are kind of some material shifts that we all are being called to make in our reality, which I think is interesting. So then for the water element, we have the Hierophant. This is from the Gentle Tarot, and that is upright. And when we have that purple color, which is like connected to the third eye, very spiritual, and both of these are very spiritual cards. In the air element, we have Choice in reverse. That is from the Poesis Oracle. For the earth element, for the fire element, I love this one. We have the Eight of Pentacles upright from the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. And for the spirit element, we have the King of Cups in reverse. And that is from the Lucid Dreams Tarot. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay. Cool, so let's start with Earth over here. Okay, this deck has kind of like long explanations for things, so I don't have like what each of the plants mean memorized. So we're gonna look at the little oracle book here and see what it says. So keywords are water, the moon, bounty and abundance, intuition, wisdom, insight, knowledge, sage advice, divination, poetry, creative pursuits, higher perspective, clarity. Okay, pile 2, already I'm getting like, this is a pile that is on a spiritual path of some kind, or maybe you're undergoing like a spiritual awakening. I wasn't getting that like super strongly, like there's not like necessarily super intense energies here, but so I'm kind of getting that this is someone who's you're already kind of a spiritual person. You've been on this path for a while, but maybe you're kind of undergoing like another level of spiritual development and awareness, and you're definitely being called to lean into that at this time. So reversed, we have are you ignoring your intuitive knowing? Perhaps you don't like what you're sensing as change is indicated. Even so, it's time to pay attention to wisdom that is offered you. Are you resistant to advice? Are you cut off from other women, from the mothers in your life? Perhaps it is time to heal a mother wounding. Perhaps you are cut off from your family or your connection to Mother Earth. How do you mother yourself? It is time to cease repeating habitual negative messages to yourself. Instead, begin giving yourself the nurturing you require. Offer this to others. Too much criticism separates us from ourselves and others. Perhaps you are experiencing a creative block. Is it time to learn new skills? Would it help you to work with others to overcome creative obstacles? If so, look to your community. Or it may be that you feel stymied in your pursuits and goals because you're not heeding your intuition. If so, go within and reconnect with your own inner knowing. Okay, pile 2. So, and this is talking about your material world. So there's something shifting on an internal level for you that is going to, once you're kind of able to make that shift, and really hear your intuition. And we have this purple color down here in this card as well that keeps kind of coming through. Then you're gonna see your 3D material reality change. But this is a conscious effort on your part because it came out in the reverse. So maybe there's like a mindset that is like not helping you, or maybe this is even like a lack of faith. Like I'm getting specifically like someone that has been through some struggles recently, some challenges, and this has been a tough year for a lot of people astrologically, myself included, especially I would say this last summer, if you're watching this when I upload it in 2025. It's been challenging. The energies have not been easy, and maybe that's caused you to kind of lose some of your faith. that like things are going to work out for you, or that you're going to see your manifestations come to fruition. And this is a message that whatever that challenge or journey was, it was temporary, and it is part of the journey in making you like growing your wisdom and your resilience and your strength. But it does not mean that things are always going to be that way. They actively can't stay that way. Like, part of this is also kind of reminding me of the faith card of the Wheel of Fortune, which talks about how the wheel always keeps turning. So no bad period, quote unquote bad period, no challenging period will ever last forever. And no, you know, in the same vein, like super positive like periods don't last forever either, because there's like a balance that is needed there in order to like really appreciate, you know, times when things are filled with more ease. Like, we need those challenging periods that grow us and test us and make us into better people. And it doesn't always feel that way in the moment. I definitely want to name that. I've definitely had my fair share of moments of like shaking my fist at the sky, being like, why are you guys putting me through this? But so that's like very real, and I just want to validate that, how frustrating that can be, and even how painful that can be. But ultimately, like, you are undergoing kind of like a cocoon process, and like this cocoon, you're not going to be in the cocoon forever, but there is, in order to kind of like start showing up differently in your material reality, and then in turn having the 3D reality respond to you differently, there is kind of like an inner like a journey inward that needs to happen here, or, you know, finish out here, because I do kind of feel like you've been on this path for a while. But yeah, it's kind of giving me like the Hanged Man, like you'll kind of be kept in like a period of stillness and introspection until you can see things from a different perspective. And oftentimes, you know, we can't really fully understand why we had to go through kind of like a more winter period until we're on the other side of it. So just, you know, be really gentle with yourself right now, and like a gratitude practice can be super, super helpful, especially to kind of like speed this along, you know, to get into like a higher vibrational energy. And make it like, make the journey on the day to day like a little bit less challenging. Okay. Also, just like in the obvious sense from what the guidebook was saying, if there is something that you kind of like know you've been ignoring your intuition about, this is like a very direct call to be like, stop doing that. And like, go with what your gut says. Your intuition is very, very strong, and it would not lead you astray. So, okay, so that is your earth element. So let's talk about water. Water is like our feelings, our emotions, our like vulnerability and intimacy with others. So water here, we have upright and we have the Hierophant. So one message that I'm initially getting from this, and this does not have to be everyone's story, is that you might have a serious partnership around you that is really supportive, and that person is a really great person for you to lean on and get support from, because this is an upright. So this is something that is like you don't really have to put in like the extra conscious effort for this to support you. Like, it is just, they're just pointing out that this is like a really positive person or connection for you. If that is not your story, if you're not in a relationship, or that just doesn't sound like what you've got going on, then this is talking again about a spiritual practice of some kind. The Hierophant is like a spiritual teacher. And this is like leaning into spiritual practices, whether that's like yoga, meditation, journaling, whatever that is for you. I just saw 111 on the timer, which also talks to me about like self and identity. So this is like a connection to yourself, your higher self, whatever makes you feel connected to yourself, connected to, you know, your guides in the universe. Like, that is something that is really, really supportive right now, and they really want you to lean into that, and that's going to come easily to you. That is like, we were talking about routines earlier. Like, if you just like implement that into your daily routine, or maybe that's already something that you do, like, that is going to be super helpful for you, and one of the easiest things that you can do to kind of like move through this energy and to just feel emotionally supported. Because ultimately, if we're connected to ourselves, and if you are someone who's spiritual and you have a spiritual practice, like, that is so, it can be so grounding. And I just saw 2222 on the clock, which also talks about like partnerships and stuff. So this could be like your relationship with spirit, could be your relationship with yourself, or again, it could be someone around you. But ultimately, like speaking for myself, when I really take the time to consciously like connect with myself, usually like yoga or journaling is the way that I like to do that, I feel so much more grounded, so much more peaceful, and just more like confident moving through my day to day, because it's like, okay, I know I've got me, and I also know that I'm acting from a place of, you know, my personal values. The Hierophant also talks about values. So allowing those things that are already within you and are available to you at any time, allowing those things to support you, is going to be really, it's just going to bring more ease and light into your life. And again, this is upright, so that is something that is just kind of coming to you at this time. Like, you don't have to like put in like a huge effort for that. It's around you already. Okay, let's talk about the air element here, which is the choice card in reverse. So upright, this like obviously looks like kind of the two paths diverged in the yellow wood, or whatever that poem is. Like, there's two different ways that you can go here. It came out in reverse. This card is really giving me like Two of Swords energy, which can talk about indecision, avoidance, and the Two of Swords is an air element card, so this makes total sense. I'm getting with this connection to our Earth card that was talking about, you know, kind of ignoring your intuition. There's something here, a mental like trap, I want to say, or like, it's not exactly the right word. It's like, I just feel like you're kind of stuck up in your head right now, and that is inhibiting you from being able to like really hear your intuition. And this is so real. Pile two. I feel like we all struggle with this from time to time, and it's like, you know, it's so easy to become distracted by like our screens, or, you know, just worrying and overthinking things. And this feels like pretty straightforward to me. Like, there could be potentially like a decision that you're actively avoiding. If that is the case, then like grounding and doing some of these like spiritual practice things that can like help you hear your intuition are really going to help with that. But the main thing I'm getting with this card, since it came out in reverse and it's going to be a little bit more of a conscious effort kind of thing for you, I think that maybe like there could be some negative thoughts swirling, or just kind of like a mental like conflict that you're experiencing, or like your mind is like not really helping you out right now. And so doing things that kind of like counteract that, like, you know, positive affirmations, again, journaling is huge. That's can be just like so helpful. You know, talk therapy can also be helpful, or just talking to a friend that you trust. Whatever it is, I think that you need to get these thoughts out of your head and onto paper, or out into another person. Sometimes I will even, like, if I'm like feeling too tired to journal, I will like talk into my camera, like I'll make a little recording and then I'll just delete it later. But it's actually so helpful, almost like a little vlog kind of thing, where you just kind of like vent and process your feelings. Like, I think you need to get the thoughts out of your head. They need to be spoken or written, and that is going to help kind of like untangle things and help you see and think more clearly. And this might be, again, this is like in reverse, so it might be like a little bit more of a an effort to, like, you know, remind yourself, like to catch yourself when you're going through that kind of negative thought pattern and kind of reversing it. So just something to be aware of, nothing like super concerning necessarily, but yeah, just something to have some awareness around. Okay, and then we have in the fire element, which when I pulled these cards, I asked, like, what fuels this pile and what action should they take toward their dreams and goals? I'm obsessed with this for you. We have the Eight of Pentacles. So you are fueled by like consistent dedication toward your like meaningful path, whatever that is, your soul's work, or connecting with others, whatever it is that like lights you up, that makes you feel really fulfilled. You are fueled by being consistently putting energy and effort toward whatever that is. Like, it's like the little wins are like positive reinforcement for you, and they're like motivating for you. And that is also your advice here. The action to take is to be consistent, is to continue working and developing your skills, honing your skills. You are mastering something. The Eight of Pentacles is about like self-mastery, skill mastery. Like, there's something that, like a craft that you're honing, and you're really good at it. And they just want, like, the message here is to just keep going. You are just continuing to get better and better, and the more you feed into it, the more it feeds back to you. This is something that is very fulfilling. It's very like, it's an equal give and take energy wise between you and like whatever this passion is that you're feeding. So that's beautiful. It's extremely straightforward. It's in the upright, so this is not necessarily something that I see being a challenge for you. I think if there is any challenge here, it's just like not letting your, you know, overthinking, and maybe there's like self-doubt or things here that sometimes might keep you from like I don't even think that it does keep you from showing up though. Like, maybe sometimes this can be like a procrastination energy, the choice in reverse. So there could be a little bit of that from time to time, but I think ultimately you overcome it and you show up anyway, which is so impressive, pile two. Like, I admire you, oh my gosh, because I have a hard time with that. So good for you. That's amazing. I absolutely love that for you. And there's a very like, this is grounding for you too. With the Eight of Pentacles, I'm just being drawn to like all of this lush greenery and like how planted firmly in the earth this person is. So that could be another thing that might be helpful for you. if you are kind of ever stuck up in your head, like getting out into nature and stuff. But ultimately, I think even just doing this craft, like being part of it, is grounding for you. And I feel like I'm talking so fast right now, like I have so many things I want to say, and I feel like that's like how you are when you're in the energy of this thing. Like you just are so inspired and like so motivated. And of course, like we don't feel like that 100% of the time, but I think like more often than not, this is something that really like gets you going because it's a dream of yours, and your soul feels really fulfilled and purpose driven when you're working on it. So that's gorgeous. Okay, amazing. Last card we have, this is the spirit element. So when I pulled these cards, I asked, what can this pile do to better nourish their soul and their spirit? And we have the King of Cups in reverse. So the King of Cups, I'm just going to read what it says at the top. Devoted, emotionally mature and balanced, intuitive, compassionate, supportive, empath. So we have a very strong theme here throughout the entire reading. Pile 2, you're obviously very emotionally intelligent. You're obviously very spiritually advanced. You're obviously very intuitive. And I'm not even going to read the description of the card in reverse. Oh, sorry, up here. Because I don't think it's really about the traits of the King of Cups in reverse. I'm not getting that. It feels more like, because it came out in reverse, this feels like a self-compassion thing. And also maybe like some kind of creative outlet potentially. It feels like I'm getting someone who is like, I was getting this earlier, I actually don't know that much about human design, so if you do, sound off in the comments. Because I was getting, when I was talking about the Eight of Pentacles card, like a generator, like a manifesting generator. I don't like 100% know what that means. I think I'm a generator, I'm not really sure. But my understanding of that is that like you're very kind of like all in on the things that you love to do, and you become more empowered by saying no to things that you don't want to do and like yes to things that feel very heart-led basically, and just kind of dedicating all in on like what you know is right for you. And I'm also getting the energy of someone who's like very high achieving, who like is really smart and capable of doing a lot of things. And so it's like, and also you're very empathetic, so it's like you are able to kind of like pick up on a lot of different, I just saw 3-3-3-3 on the timer. That might be significant for someone. I can also talk about balance, but you're able to like pick up on a lot of other people's energy and like their needs. And I feel like because you're very capable, pile 2, you might often be like asked to take on lots of different things here and there, or you know, you might just want to because like you want to be helpful and you're like, oh yeah, like I can do it, you know, sure. But it feels like what you really need, like what your soul really needs, is to like kind of lock in on this like one sort of path that feels really fulfilling to you, and really like validate yourself that is like the right thing to do for you, that like it's okay to say no to other things that aren't this particular thing that you're trying to manifest and create. And also the King of Cups is like very creative, intuitive, so like letting those things kind of lead you, I think, is going to feel really emotionally supportive. It's going to be really nourishing for your soul and your spirit, but it might not feel like supernatural sometimes to do that because it came out in reverse. I feel like you, like, while you're like a very spiritual, intuitive person, I feel like you're also very cerebral and very intellectual, and so it's like almost like you can get in like a gridlock sometimes between like your mind and like your spirit. And so I think this is just kind of like you're being called to kind of lean into more of that like watery emotional energy, which has come up so many places in your reading, and like just really kind of like unabashedly do what you know is right for you. And it's okay to kind of let other things that are sort of like distractions like fall away, and like not commit to things that aren't giving back to you in the same way that this thing is. I hope that made sense. That is not like a traditional meaning necessarily of the King of Cups, but like that's what I was getting. So okay, I think that's all the messages I have for you, pile 2. I loved your energy. I want to be friends. Can we like let's be friends. You seem so cool. Okay, if you enjoyed the reading and it resonated, and you want to support the channel, I would so appreciate that. You can please like the video, please comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. All those things help the growth of the channel, and so I can reach more people. Other ways that you can work with me or support me, you can go to my, you can find me on Instagram at Astrology with Hannah. I post some other fun stuff over there, more kind of like astrology geared content. And my website, you can book personal readings with me, tarot or astrology readings. My website is readingswithhannah.com. My astrology Venmo, if you'd like to leave a tip, is Astrology with Hannah. Astrology/tarot Venmo, either way. And all this is going to be listed in the description below. If you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you and your energy so much, pile 2. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the raw clear quartz, this is your reading. Welcome. All right, so we are going to, I've already pre-shuffled all the cards here. We are going to do an energy check at the beginning. So this should sound like your current energy, or sorry, there's like a bus outside that's being really loud. This should sound like your current energy or an energy you've recently been in. If it does not, I would advise you to pick a different pile. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so you actually got 2 of these Prism Oracle cards. You got Mystery and Rejection. And then you got this Laughing and Crying card that came out in reverse. Okay, interesting. There's like a mix of emotions going on here. I almost said mix of things, and then I was like, no, it's like mixed emotions specifically. So maybe you're feeling like a little all over the place. Maybe like there's something happening that you have mixed feelings about. With the Mystery and the Rejection here, it feels like there could be a situation that was like, I'm getting kind of like rejection is protection, like a situation that you thought was going to work out in one way and maybe hoped would work out in one way, and then it didn't end up happening. And it's kind of like with the Mystery here, it's kind of like not really being sure then what the next step is, or like why this thing didn't work out. I'm getting that like not everything has been revealed to you yet, in terms of like why things are working out the way that they are, and that might be kind of frustrating for you. With the Crying and Laughing card, this is such an interesting card because it's like, it's interesting that it came out reversed, because it's like kind of part of the point of it, I think, is that depending on how you hold it, or like which one of these like mouths and eyes you're looking at, there's like different feelings happening. So maybe too, there's like maybe you are feeling one way, but kind of on the outside showing something different, like kind of keeping how you're actually feeling about something kind of under wraps. Interesting. Okay, let's get into the guidebooks for these. So I want to look at the crying and laughing one first. Okay. It says, let it all out. Cry, laugh, scream if you need to. Let your body have a full release of all that has been cooped up in there. There are those of us who will hold things in for years. Oh, sorry, pile 3. There are those of us who will hold things in for years, and when that one thing happens that makes us cry till our body is numb, it can clean out those spider webs. It may make you feel like a crazy person, but we all do it. So true. Okay, so maybe there's like maybe you recently had like a big release of emotion, or like you're feeling like I'm like, yeah, like maybe even like feeling like you're like going a little crazy, you know, like maybe you're crashing out a little bit. Okay, and then mystery and rejection. So the mystery card, I know, has an interesting description. Mystery card represents the idea that it's okay to not have all the answers all the time. Embrace the various mysteries of life and let things happen and unfold as they need to. Surrender to the unknown. Yeah, so it really, it does feel like something here didn't work out the way that you wanted to, and that rejection or that like block might have been really upsetting, and it might have triggered kind of this like big release of emotions. And you're kind of feeling like, why did this thing happen? What is next for me? Like, and maybe you're also like with the laughing and crying, trying to find like the humor in the situation, which I think is wonderful if that's the case. I mean, trying to find that like silver lining, or like, yeah, like what there is in the situation to like laugh about or make light of. That can be a really helpful coping tool, as long as we are also like acknowledging our other feelings. Because it's okay to be like upset when something doesn't work out, or when you're feeling rejected. So let's look at the rejection card then here last. Okay, try to reframe the pain of rejection and consider that whatever rejected you wasn't meant to be part of your life at this time, whether it be a person, job, or something else. Some even say that rejection is protection. Okay, literally what I said. So even though it may really hurt right now, know that something better is waiting for you. Trust that whatever is meant for you is on the way. Yeah, okay. So there is something better around the corner. It's just that it is kind of a mystery right now, like what that is. And if you're watching this at the time that I'm uploading it in like end of August 2025, we just had a Virgo new moon that opened up our eclipse portal. We're gonna have a Pisces eclipse in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that we're gonna have another Virgo new moon, which is rare, and it's going to be an eclipse. So this is really a period of endings and beginnings and changes and transitions that we're experiencing on a collective level. And sometimes that eclipses can sometimes bring that kind of change in a way that's abrupt and jarring, but ultimately they are pivots and redirections to get you on your highest path, like the path that is for your highest good and happiness and growth. So it's definitely like not always the most like fun or comfortable energy, but ultimately that is the point of eclipses, is to like redirect us away from things that are not serving us and toward things that are ultimately going to be more fulfilling in the long term. So if this sounds like your energy, pile 3, you have found your pile. So let's get into the rest of it. And how this is going to work. How this is going to work is I have each of the elements here. We're going to go through earth, water, air, fire, and then spirit. And if a card comes up upright, that means that that area, that elemental area is like coming a little bit more naturally to you at this time. You don't really have to put in any like conscious effort to make changes there. And if it comes up reverse, then there is a little bit more conscious effort required to kind of rebalance that area of life. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for the earth element, we have Hiawatha Hawthorn in reverse. And every pile today has had their earth element card be reversed, which I think is really interesting. The earth, of course, talks about our material world, you know, jobs, health, home, physical things that are around us. And so everybody is kind of undergoing some like changes to their like physical material world or lifestyle right now. And that is so on point with like the Virgo transformational energy that we have right now. Again, if you're like watching this when I upload it. But yeah. Okay. And then for the water element, we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. For the air element, we have Breathe reverse. For the fire element, we have the 5 of Pentacles upright. And for the spirit element, we have the 2 of Cups upright. Okay, cool. All right. Also, every pile has had at least 3 reverse cards down here. So that is pretty standard as well. No need to worry about having more reverse cards than upright cards. So, okay, let's talk about earth here. So the Hiawatha Hawthorn talks about cleansing and purification, chastity and abstinence, sabbatical, preparation, magic, protection of the sacred marriage. Sorry, I keep like whacking the camera. Showing up in reverse, it says, perhaps you are holding on to things for too long. If you find you have too many material goods, then it is time to share some of that abundance to make psychic space for the new. If this feels impossible, ask a trusted friend to help. Perhaps on the other hand, you are overly attached to the past. In that case, the energies of Hawthorn will assist you in letting go. Are you so busy that it feels impossible to create time for introspection? Are you hanging out too much in either the masculine energy of the mind or the feminine energy of dependence? If so, Hawthorn can assist you to balance these energies, as her domain is the sacred marriage within. If you have shut yourself off from the magic and the mystery of the unseen realms, you may be missing out on the regeneration that is offered. Perhaps you are trying to push something ahead without giving it grow time. Sometimes we have to wait for things to align. If you're overindulging, it is time to cleanse and detoxify. Okay, pile 3. So I'm getting kind of strongly that like you recently have been like really pushing in a particular direction that is kind of like aligned with more of sort of like a material pursuit, or like more based off of like what is sort of like socially expected of you, or like hustle culture kind of vibes. Like maybe, for example, maybe you have been like really trying, like putting in the effort to like move, say you're like wanting to like move up in a particular company that you're working at, and you've been working really hard, doing all like the things that you're supposed to do that are expected of you and beyond to like be able to, you know, get a promotion in this company and move up. But then looking back at like this mystery rejection energy, like someone else ends up getting the position over you and you feel really deflated. And it's like, what was all that work for? Like, is it something wrong with me? No, it is not something wrong with you, first of all. I want to fight that thought first and foremost, but the whole kind of direction is not the most fulfilling direction for you and your soul. So it's kind of like maybe that path like has like material stability, or like, you know, it's really like, yeah, socially accepted, like people really like get it, and like it's kind of like a quote unquote like normal thing to do for work. And so like, or people are really impressed by it and they're like, oh, you work for that company, or like, oh, you do that as a job, like that's really cool. But it's like, it doesn't really fulfill you, and you're kind of just like going with the motions, like doing what you think is like the next right thing based on what other people around you have done, but not really following your own inner guidance and your own heart to find a path that is like actually really emotionally fulfilling for you. So this is saying that there are things in your environment on the earth plane that are not serving you, that aren't really supporting your highest good and aren't really making you happy. But I feel like you're having a hard time kind of letting them go, and like you're resisting change a little bit. And that's making it harder to kind of like move further down, like to kind of change directions and pivot. It's like a comfort zone kind of thing. Like, it's like you can make, okay, something that's coming to my mind is like, there's a tool that I have used in therapy where it's like a pro-con list, but it's a weighted pro-cons list. So they're bringing me back to a memory of me using this weighted pro-cons list to decide about leaving an old job that I was working. And it was like, I loved my coworkers there. It was like good enough pay. But I really didn't feel like respected or valued by like the management there. And so it was really like hard on my like self-esteem. The longer I stayed, the worse my mental health got. And when I would write out just like a regular pro-cons list, it looked like there were like, you know, a lot of pros, and also a decent amount of cons, but it was like, if you're just looking at them without doing like a weighted version of it, which I'll explain what that means, then it could be really hard to make that decision, because it's like, well, there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons, and then you kind of just end up going with what feels comfortable because it's like, well, I can't decide. But the difference with a weighted pro-cons list is you assign a numeric value to each thing, like 1 through 5, of like how important that thing is to you. And so it would be like, you know, being really good friends with my coworkers was like maybe like a 2 or a 3, versus like feeling respected and valued by my employer was like a 5. And so then it was like, once you added up all of the, like, a lot of my pros for like staying in the job were like smaller valued numbers, and like all of the cons were like really big valued numbers. And so it's like, when you added it up, it was actually very clear what the answer was. So maybe look into that exercise. It can be really helpful for kind of like decision making, and like being able to kind of like see things more clearly in terms of aligning with your value system. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. I feel like there's like an intuitive nudge you have here that like something isn't working for you anymore. And maybe it never really was working for you. And there's like maybe a pull in another direction. Maybe we'll see that elsewhere in the reading here, but what is clear is that your current environment or system or even relationship could be, isn't, you're not thriving in it, and you deserve to thrive, pile 3. So yeah, I think going within and maybe doing kind of like an inventory in that sense might be really helpful. The card also talked about decluttering and stuff, so that might be something too, to like physically move some energy out of your space. All of that can be real and helpful for like ushering in the energy of change and feeling more comfortable and confident with moving into a new chapter. Okay, so that was your earth element. Let's talk about your water element, which is the emotions, how you're feeling, your like intuition and spirituality. We have the 10 of Wands in reverse. And one of the questions I asked when I pulled this card was, how is this pile doing emotionally? 10 of Wands in reverse, it suggests kind of a process of like healing and moving on from burnout. So maybe you're in the process of releasing things emotionally, which we talked earlier about, like a big emotional release, because the 10 of Wands is like, when it's upright, it is so heavy and you're just carrying so much and it's really burnt out, exhausted energy. When it's reversed, that can either be like an extreme version of that energy where you just literally feel like it's gotten to a point of no, like where you're just like have no energy for anything and it feels super toxic. Or it can also be an energy of leaving that exhausted burnout energy in the past. So take whichever kind of interpretation resonates for you right now. But this does feel like you're in the process of lightening your load and letting go of things that are too heavy to be carrying, things that aren't really yours to be carrying in the first place. So again, that can be a job that's not satisfying you, a relationship where things are imbalanced, whatever it is. You're doing some kind of soul searching right now and really kind of being like, okay, what do I need to take with me in this next chapter and what do I not? And this came out in reversed, along with this one. So these are both going to be kind of like taking care of your emotional well-being and kind of shedding some of these things that aren't working for you is going to be more of an active, conscious process. It's not necessarily something that happens like to you. I think this is more of like an action that you decide to take, that you are like a truly active participant in the process of this change. So, like, it's not like, I'm not necessarily getting that, like, if you wanted to leave a job, that, like, they're just gonna let you go or something. Like, it would be like you deciding you're the one taking the action to leave the job or to change your environment or whatever. And I just saw 111 on the timer. So that could be confirmation for someone. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about your air element here. The air element is our thoughts, our mind, our relationship with our thoughts and mind, and also how we communicate with others. So it's so interesting that this card called Breathe, that is literally like you breathe in air, oxygen, came out in the air element. That's been happening a lot with this deck. But yeah, so you might have been dealing with like more anxiety than usual recently, or you might just like be feeling really kind of anxious, because I'm getting like, I want to like exhale with this card, but it feels like because it's upside down, it's almost like you're holding your breath a little bit. Like it feels like my shoulders want to like, fly up and be really tense, and it just like feels like not the most relaxed energy. And because this is about your relationship with your thoughts and your mind, it feels like maybe your mind is like trying to like logic your way out of the situation, or like I'm hearing like gaslight you a little bit. Like our minds they try to think 10 steps ahead and protect us from bad things happening, but the mind doesn't always know the best thing for you, not certainly more than the heart or the intuition, the gut, like, and it feels like your mind has kind of already been leading the way in this previous path, because it's like, oh, this is like the logical thing to do, this is like, these are the steps people take, like that's just, you know, the way that it is, that makes sense. But it feels like you're being asked to kind of like let go of some of the logical mind right now, and kind of ground more into like the body, how things make you feel. Breathing exercises specifically might be really helpful for you right now, especially if you are feeling a lot of anxiety, which I'm sending you love if that is the case. Yeah, like whatever you can do to kind of like get out of your head into your body, into your heart space. Like meditations can be really helpful for that, like guided meditation specifically. You can do like a heart chakra meditation or like root chakra. Root chakra is really good for grounding, or just like getting out into nature or doing something physical, doing something like a movement activity. Any of those things can be really helpful for this. But yeah, it kind of feels like you're unlearning these like old patterns of like, this is the way that I have to be doing things. And it's like, even like, it feels like even though the past situation is like a comfort zone, it still feels like you don't necessarily feel at ease there. Like, I feel like even though it's a little bit unnerving to like step into something new, it might actually feel like a breath of fresh air to you, or like you can finally exhale, because it's like where I was at before, I was really only operating from my like mind and my mental energy. And you have to have balance, you know, between the mind and the body and the spirit and all that stuff. So it's really not like aligned or healthy to be like only operating in this like mental capacity. So, okay, cool. Yes. So moving on to the fire element, we have the 5 of Pentacles here. And when I pulled the fire cards, I pulled them with the intention of asking what fuels this pile, and like in sort of like a creative and fulfillment kind of sense, and then also what action do they need to take toward their dreams and goals. So I think this is really about having faith and optimism that your dreams and goals can manifest and they can be achieved. I just saw 26 on the timer, so maybe someone who's watching is 26, or maybe that's a significant number for you. But yeah, because the 5 of Pentacles can talk about like feeling left out in the cold, feeling like abandoned, or like you don't have the resources that you need, or just really like disappointed, pessimistic, kind of like a gloomy and like melancholy outlook toward the world. And I want to make clear that like that can stem, and often does stem, from like past disappointments and things that really truly were difficult to experience. But this card is, when it shows up, it's talking about being like making an effort to look for the positives and look for how things can change. Okay, and I just saw 27 on the timer. I'm seeing all these numbers. But that to me was like the 26 to the 27. I feel like there's slow and steady growth here in a new direction if you are willing to take the leap of faith and move in a new way, rather than just, you know, if you get caught up in kind of all this like mental energy where you're really disconnected from your intuition, You know, you can really talk yourself out of believing in yourself and believing that a different way and a different lifestyle is possible. And it starts with our mindset. So in terms of the action to take toward your dreams and goals based on this card, it is kind of like a believing that something different is possible and that you're worth more. That too. Five of Pentacles can talk about self-worth. And you are worthy of being happy, of feeling fulfilled, of not being stuck in the rat race, or in a relationship that is unfulfilling for you, if that is the case. You deserve more and you're capable of more. And in terms of like what fuels you, I think maybe like be aware of like who you surround yourself with and like what their kind of other people's kind of stories are. Because I heard like surrounding yourself with like positive people, that can make a huge difference versus like if you're around people all the time who like don't believe in what you're doing or don't believe that like there is another way of living that's not so, you know, strenuous on the spirit, like then, you know, you can start to believe that over time, or that can kind of keep you mentally stuck. And you have power here. You have power to move in a different direction. And I think your environment has a big influence on your mindset. So being kind of wary of like who you spend a lot of time with, who you share your ideas and dreams with, and also kind of like seeking out connections and community that are like-minded, I think could be really helpful. And that is actually a perfect segue into your last card, which is the Two of Cups. Beautiful. So when I pulled this card, I asked, what does this pile, what can they do to better nourish their soul and their spirit? And we have the Two of Cups, which is literally all about relationships, partnership, connections that make you feel valued and important and appreciated. So it says unified love, partnership, mutual attraction, romantic love, connection, mutual respect, joining forces, close bonds, and unity. So for some of you, if you are in a loving relationship, this is talking about leaning on that person. It's really highlighting that this is an amazing source of support for you, and that can be really nourishing for you while you are going through all this transition. Obviously, that is not everyone's situation. So if that doesn't resonate with you, I would say this is kind of about what I was talking about before, about like seeking out like-minded people, you know, you trusting your intuition in terms of like, who are the people that are supportive of me, who value me, who I can trust to like really share my ideas and my concerns with, who makes me feel supported, who makes me feel lighter rather than drained when I'm in their energy. That is really paying attention to your relationships with others. I think is going to be super, super helpful. And you might meet some new people at this time too. Could be friends or could be a romantic interest. But I really just, when I see the Two of Cups, I really just think about any kind of connection with others that makes you feel uplifted, which is so a beautiful energy. So maybe those people are already in your life, or maybe this is a call to seek out more of those relationships. And this also, of course, came up in the spirit element. So this is also a call to connect with your spirit guides. I just saw 222 on the camera timer. So whatever way in which you might do that, you know, you can do like spirit guide meditations, you can pray, you can journal, you can, you know, be in nature. That is one way that I always feel connected to the universe and my spirit guides. Like there's lots of ways to do it. And whatever kind of spiritual practice you have, maybe you pull your own tarot, maybe you, you know, do yoga, whatever it is, there's many, many ways to connect with your spirituality, with the earth and the universe. And that is something that feels really supportive for you right now as well. So, okay. I love this for you, pile 3. I feel like you're really having like a major kind of like life change or pivot right now, or like at the very least, like your perspective is shifting in a really huge way. And I love this for you. It feels like you're being very supported through this period, spiritually. So, and even by the people around you potentially as well. So amazing. I think that's all the messages I have for you. If you enjoyed this reading, if it resonated, I would so appreciate if you could like the video, comment on the video, subscribe. Those are all amazing ways to help support the channel and help the channel grow. You can also book a reading with me on my website. I do astrology and sorry about that. I do astrology and tarot readings at readingswithhannah.com. It's linked in the description. You can also find me over on Instagram at astrologywithhannah. And my Venmo is at astrologywithhannah as well if you want to leave a tip. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you and your energy so, so, so much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.